Welcome back, everybody, to Hoot Loot, the place where you come to be informed, be amused, and never be misled. Today's show is going to be called Bull Market Disguised as Bear Market. And we're going to explain that to you in just a minute because right now it looks like one thing, but it's not. And it's really the other. And we're going to show it to you in a bunch of graphs. Now, first of all, I want to show, I'll get to that in a minute. But what I'd like you to do, please subscribe right down here, right up here, over there. I don't care. We would like to help you. I've been in the business for 40 years, and I'm going to walk you out of this catastrophe that a lot of you are now undergoing and panicked because we have seen such carnage. And with that, I'm going to go back to the charts in just a minute, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. All right, welcome back, everybody. I want to show you this chart. This chart is kind of a, it's sort of the way that the market works. It works by basing, it works by then getting all euphoric, and then all of a sudden, all the last people come in. There's absolutely euphoria. No one cares about whether they earn money, what they do. They're hyped as IPOs. And, usually that is the absolute time to worst to buy. And we're going to show that to you right now. Now, this first chart is just basically a schematic of what it looks like, but you're going to see it in real life very shortly. Okay. So we're going to go to Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, of course, is the canary in the coal mine. I'm going to destroy Bitcoin one more time and cryptos, because if you didn't see last week, you need to see this. No scamming. People are scamming like crazy. And I want to tell you that this is a nothing. All right. Now, Bitcoin has made a double top, and it is now about to go down. It continues to make lows below lows. Okay. So keep that in mind. Bitcoin is a nothing. It is a password. It doesn't buy you anything unless someone accepts it. There have been some transactions in it, but what is it? They do it it's some kind of like hype. All right. So we're going to go on to the next, and that's Tesla. Tesla is also a canary in the coal mine because, oh God, EVs are all the rage. And I'm going to destroy that myth too today. All right. Now, Tesla broke down. It had decent earnings. I got to tell you, decent earnings. It actually had free cash flow. And believe it or not, 10 years it's been losing money by selling, carbon credits and all kinds of things. And now it actually had free cash flow. It's seems to be on a positive path, but it's way overvalued. I'm going to tell you that right now. Way overvalued. Tesla is a company that is not going to ever have a fully sustainable non-driver like a robotaxi. It's way away, and Elon Musk has already admitted that it's way away. And one of the reasons that basically he says that is because it buys him more time. He also lost money on Bitcoin, which he was so proud of. And that just got reported in the financial statements last week, of which there were many. And they tell us a lot. All right. Now, ARK Innovation is also a canary in the coal mine because this is the most hip, and I say hip, stock there is. Okay, it's an ETF. It buys all the hype names, all the hope names, all the names of the future. But the problem is it's not doing so. If you look at ARK, all of the buyers of ARK are underwater. Kathy Hughes was a celebrity, not so sure anymore that she's a celebrity. And honestly, you could not have bought this and made money in the last few years. Okay, and these are the future. These are what's going to get us through, and we're going to have robots and we're going to have all kinds of things that are going to be really good. But I'm going to say two words: Renaissance IPO is about the same thing. This was a ETF which bought all of the all of the new IPOs that were so hot that were going to be the next future. And look at that, you're already underwater if you bought it. And I'll tell you this has done even better probably because they are frequent buyers of IPOs, and IPOs are usually in short supply. They flip up, they go up on the day, and a company like this is going to be getting cheap IPOs. Okay, cheap IPOs. If you and I wanted to buy them, we'd have to buy them at 5 times the initial public offering, but not them, and not Friends of Wall Street. All right, Dow Jones. Now this is starting to look like it's breaking down. It actually has broken down a little bit with this bear flag, and I'm gonna draw a little circle around here. Actually, I'm not gonna draw a circle around here. Never mind. But it's a bear flag. It still is at kind of support. I'm not ready to throw the towel on Dow Jones because of some of the companies they have in it. It is much different than, say, the Nasdaq and the small caps, and they will behave differently. Now, Apple announced earnings after the close. They were blockbuster earnings, okay? Blockbuster. And so Apple, being the biggest weight of both the Nasdaq 100 and in the Dow, is likely to give the market a little lift next week, just like it did this week. It kind of bounced a little bit, and when, of course, Jay Powell said that interest rates weren't going to go up again, oh my God, interest rates are so much higher, and I don't know why for the life of me he's not tapering off at all. He tapered 10 million out of 125 million that he was buying every month. And now he's talking about quantitative tightening. What the hell was going to happen with quantitative tightening if 10 million out of 125 million does this? Just asking the question, folks. If anybody has an idea, please let me know. All right. This is the Nasdaq 100. Ding, 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 ding. I told you this 3 weeks ago on January 7th that this had topped. And not everything has topped, but this would be the first. And ding, 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 ding. All right, now we're going to go on to the NASDAQ weekly, and you see a rounded top, small one, but again, it's broken down, and that's not a good sign. That basically means support didn't hold, and all those people in that little dome are underwater. And so, some of the earnings were good, some not. Netflix, bad. Microsoft, good. Tesla, pretty good. But it doesn't matter. See, the market already impounded great earnings into these companies. They're monopolies. Why shouldn't they earn the world? And when they don't, what a disappointment. S&P 500, I get to say it again. Ding, ding. This has been the strongest of all the large cap indexes, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is over. This is kaput. This may rally. This may have a little bounce. I'm not surprised if it does. It may even be a couple months, but the primary direction is now down. This is why we say that a bull market is disguised as a bear market, because this is now turning into a bear market. And you're going to see this chart after chart after chart after chart. The small cap also just barely broke down. This one has held up reasonably well. And, with a Fed meeting, it's kind of hard to say which direction it's going to go. So I'm going to say that it is at support. It may bounce. It may not. It just may not. The way the market looks right now, it is just plummeting. And, when it plummets like this, people get awfully scared and they sell it right into it just as the market bounces. Now, if you want to know someone that has done that a few times, well, you're looking at them right now, because I've made every mistake in the book. And so I can tell you not to make every mistake in the book. Dow Jones transportation are very important to the economy. They have also broken down. Now, the airlines are looking crummy because people don't want to go on them, and we're not flying internationally very much. So basically, the airlines have a fixed cost structure. They have to cover their costs, and they're laying off people, but they still lease planes, and they still got to pay for the planes. So right now, and there was a big blizzard in the east, a bunch of planes got sidelined. This is not going to be a good time for airlines. Not only that, but we're going to see crude going up and jet fuel going up, and that's another one of their big costs. Okay, now we're going to look at Bitcoin for 5 years, because I want to destroy this thing once and for all. Bitcoin, you are dead. RIP, dead. All right, now take a look at this graph. All right, I want you to study it for a second. Now, Bitcoin did look like it was in a bull market. It actually appreciated almost 300% in several years from peak to peak, okay, and made a slightly higher high. But it's already broken a rising trend line, and that bears watching, because I wonder whether people are starting to think, what do I do with this thing? China doesn't want it. Russia doesn't want it. India doesn't want it. Where am I going to use it? And how do I use it? No one's ever asked me for a Bitcoin. No one has ever asked anyone for a Bitcoin in return for a good. So it does not qualify as a currency. It qualifies as a password, and that's it. Just the password. And it's readily available to the NSA because they put the whole damn thing together. And I would speculate that China and Russia found that out maybe by watching the show. Maybe by watching the show, that they figured out that this is a big hoax. Okay, Ethereum is the only other somewhat blue chip crypto, and it looks like Bitcoin, and there's a reason for it. It provides a service to Bitcoin. It is related to Bitcoin. It is not a separate. It doesn't do anything that's separate from what Bitcoin does, and so it's going to look like it, and it's got a big market cap. Okay, now Ethereum for 5 years also looks like Bitcoin. So we've got two Bitcoins here, all right? Two Bitcoins. But Ethereum is also broken down, and Ethereum could go all the way down to like 1,200. Bitcoin, which I showed you a minute ago, 30,000, 20,000, 10,000, who knows? I still will sell you a password for 5, and that's my last offer. Okay, 4, 3. 2 for 1, all right? That's my final offer. Jeez. All right, now, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust only owns Bitcoin. It does not own anything else. Now, look at Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. It was kind of a quasi ETF. And the advantage of holding Grayscale is that you're probably not going to get hacked or stolen. And it trades on the NYSE. But if you look at the gain, which was only 50% peak to peak, and you look at how far down it is, you're underwater. You've lost money. Now, Bitcoin and Ethereum do not, they're not able to give accurate volume indications. This does. This means Bitcoin, all those Bitcoin million billionaires that want to sell me Bitcoin, I'll make $8,000 a day without even trying. Do I have WhatsApp? No, I don't have WhatsApp, you idiot. And right here, grayscale, you're down. Sorry, but this is how it goes when you chase stupid things and do no due diligence. I have asked many times, who runs Bitcoin? Oh, where's it located? Oh, when was the prospectus? Oh, where's the headquarters? Oh, they don't know. What's the profits? Oh, there's nothing here. It doesn't give you anything, okay? Bitcoin Cash Weekly, now this is even worse, okay? Now you've had a 60% drawdown peak to peak, and now 92% drawdown peak, to what it's trading at now. Now, I don't know about you, but that doesn't smack me as a future. What smacked me as a future is the Rams winning the Super Bowl. That's all. That's a future. Let's hope that happens. All right, now, Litecoin, same thing. Down. This is 1 year down 60% in 60 days. Why? Because the Bitcoin ETF, several of them came out and bought them like crazy and bought the prices higher, and now it couldn't even make a new high. All right, because no one wants Litecoin. Has there anyone out there? Could you please tell me if you've used a Litecoin to effectuate a transaction? I'll bet you haven't. And it's getting lighter and lighter all the time. Litecoin 5 years weekly, look at this. Okay. So it made a double top. It went up quite a bit. But right now it's looking much closer to lows than highs. And you've lost money in Litecoin too. So there's Litecoin, and there's BCH, and there's Grayscale, and pretty soon you're going to be down on Bitcoin and Ethereum. MicroStrategy is my favorite company to bash right now. This guy, the company is run by a guy named Michael Saylor, okay? Saylor, new in town Saylor? Yeah, he must have been, because he got swindled, I think, into borrowing money and buying Bitcoin. All right. Now look at this graph right here. There's almost no one that's made money on this thing. And he borrowed money. And he says, oh my God, I love my Bitcoin so much that I'll never sell it. Oh yes, you will, Michael, because you're going to have to service that debt. Okay. You're going to have to service that debt. And you're almost all the way down to where you were several years ago. Okay. So I don't know. That was a famous last words type of thing. All right. Now, Overstock.com. We've talked about this one before. What a ridiculous thing. They were the first to accept Bitcoin as transactions, and no one wants to part with their Bitcoin because it is so precious. Bitcoin is like Maria Teresa. It's like it's like Jesus Christ to them, and he does not want to sell ever. But you know what? When it comes right down to a bankruptcy or selling Bitcoin, my bet's on he's selling Bitcoin. And I'll bet you anything on that, Michael. I'm sorry, I don't know you. I have nothing against you. But this is gross negligence right here. And your board ought to answer for this. Right, blockchain. Now, when people start talking about how it is, okay, that Bitcoin, well, maybe Bitcoin isn't of value too much. Maybe it's not quite what it is. But blockchain is huge. It's a new technology, right? Blockchain. Look at this. Everybody's underwater. Okay. Now, what kind of future is that? Okay. And if I were the shareholders, I'd be rioting like crazy because they are getting their asses creamed. Ripple, another one, down like 70%. And this was supposed to be one of the biggies, one of the, the new up and comers. And if you look at the 5 year, oh my God. I mean, let's say you bought this in 1918 and you thought this was a great thing and you were holding it. Look at that. You'd be down like 75, 80%. Would you still push Ripple? Have you used Ripple ever? Does it even work as a bus token? I doubt it. Oh, God. Okay, now onto inflation. Treasury inflation protected securities are right at support. They may break down, they have a rounded top, and the reason that they may or may not is that we have a push and a pull. The push is inflation and costs. Every company, not every, but most companies that have reported earnings are basically saying that they can't pass all of the costs on, to consumers. So right now I think we're going to see a resumption of inflation, and we have some charts that will that will show you that, like this one. The CRB commodity index. This is the basket of all commodities. This is the longest. This is the blue chip commodity index. And here we are, new high. Okay. So it isn't rolling over yet. It isn't telling you that inflation is transitory, like Jay Powell used to say. Now he's changed his tune. Well, it's not really transitory, but might last a little bit. Crude oil, that's one of the reasons. Crude oil is one of the few things that is going to appreciate in this market. It is, shale oil has been destroyed by the new administration. There's no drilling and there's all sorts of impediments. They don't trust them. And, shale oil requires a lot of borrowing. They're not going to do it. So what's going to happen is, right now, it appears that OPEC can't even keep the price low. So this thing could go at least 100, and there are people out there that say 150. I don't know, but I can tell you this. It's a big component of your cost unless you listen to the CPI, because it's ex food and energy. So no one drives, no one eats. And here's livestock, speaking of ex food and energy. This is made a brand new high too. And that means also that we don't eat, we don't drive. And so we have moderate inflation, 7%, when it's really like 12. US dollar. Now this one I can't explain to you. The US dollar, the only thing I can think of with the US dollar is that it is losing purchasing power. But the Europeans are even worse. They have negative interest rates. We at least have 1%. So 1% interest rate, better than zero, better than minus. If you go into Germany, okay, and you buy for $100 a couple year bond, they're going to give you back 98 cents. In what universe does that make sense? Seriously, in what universe? I have no idea. And it's not stimulative. It's not doing anything. 5-year treasuries are starting to move up like crazy. So are the 2 years. All the short maturities are moving up. And that is what's called flattening the yield curve. When the yield curve flattens, that is almost always a sign that bad times are ahead, and bad times are ahead. These have variable lag times, and it could be a year and a half, it could be 6 months. We just don't know. But what we do know is that almost all the time, this is one of the best indicators of future economic activity. 30-year going nothing. And that's why I said by flatting, the 5 years going up, the 2 years going up, the 30 years kind of sitting there. And the 30 years telling us, because the Fed doesn't buy 30 years, they don't pump them up. But what it tells us is that there is a very pessimistic outlook way out into the future because they should be a lot higher. 30-year rates have tended to be 5, 6, 7% because of the long period of time and the uncertainty. Now, look at them, they're 2%. I mean, it doesn't take a hell of a project to finance at 2%, make money. And they're growing projects. That's the whole point. So, and it also punishes savers. And that part is, while the government tells you our wonderful people in Washington, vote out the incumbents, vote out all of the incumbents. They keep telling you, oh, we're protecting your Social Security, we're protecting all of your benefits, but they're really not. They're buying 2% bonds. How does that protect you? Seriously, how does that protect you? Apple had a great earnings report, and it came down, but on Friday after closing, it was up almost 7%. So I'd expect possibly Monday we're going to see the beginning of what I described last week as the shoulder, and that's going to be the rally failure that we're going to be looking for as a place to enter. Okay, a rally failure. Amazon broke down. There's another one. I guess, what we're seeing is there is so much top heaviness that all of these companies are breaking down. Okay, Amazon, one of them. It had a long pattern, a long sideways pattern. And what we've said in the past is that a move up is usually a pretty good move up. A move down is horrible. The reason it's horrible is because you are underwater again with all these people in that sideways flag, and they're looking to break even or get out. And so it's going to take a long time before all of that Amazon stock is sold to smarter people who are going to take it and going to hold it and going to basically wait for the next move higher. Meta platforms, I'm going to call it meta platforms because I'm so tired of Facebook. I hate Facebook. This thing has a bear flag, okay? And I'm kind of surprised about this company because it has so much bad news. I mean, it really does. And it is a walking class action lawsuit. There are going to be so many suits of people who have been affected emotionally between Instagram, and I have a feeling that the WhatsApp is, not exactly unknown to Mark Zuckerberg. And he's laid out the welcome mat to him and said, hey, go ahead, scam people. If that's what it takes to make this thing valuable, scam them. Google broke down too. It looked pretty good. I mean, Google is one of the strongest stocks. It still is. I don't think it's going to have a big crash or anything like that. But look at that pattern. Rounded top. We see rounded tops all the time. And they tend to be more of an accurate indicator than not. And Google, who never, ever, ever, ever biases itself toward leftism. It's a very, very fair company down the line, and it's not looking too good right now. Microsoft, it had a great earnings report. It was down 20 points in after hours trading, and it came right back up. So you have to be very careful about buying on news earnings because things turn on a dime. And Microsoft is a perfect example of that. Netflix, well, here we go. Here's the disaster du jour. Netflix went down 125 points on earnings. Why? Because it's so expensive to acquire content. And all I want to say to you, Netflix people, this is great content. Why aren't you calling me? My number is listed, and I would love to come on your show and tell people exactly what it is. Except the problem is, I might not be so nice to you, so you might not want me. Nvidia is really the poster child of semiconductors, both cryptos and gaming. They are the fastest chips. I love them, but they're overvalued. And this is what you see right here. There is supposedly a shortage of chips. Okay, if there's a shortage of chips, why isn't this thing going up? And the thing is, once there's a shortage of chips, of semiconductor chips, okay, everybody builds a plant until you have a surplus of chips. Bank index kind of holding in there. It's not pulling the market up anymore. It's it's sort of getting squishy now, and we need the bank index to at least give some give some support to the market. It's not. It's really not now. Financials are starting to weaken. I'm going to show you that in just a second. The broker dealer index, I've been talking about this for months. No more new deals. The deals are crummy. People, I think, understand by now that the deals stink. They're down 80%, and they're not going to go and buy new deals at all at this point. There's still SpaceX, but I don't think so. SpaceX, I don't think so. A rocket ship that blows off a platform is not worth $100 billion. I'm sorry, it just isn't. All right, Goldman Sachs. Here's an important company, and look at this, rounded top, break, and this does not augur well for new money coming into the market. It does not at all. They've gotten into crypto. They've drank the Kool-Aid, and somehow I have a feeling, and don't hold me to this, but they are going to rue the day that they started trading crypto. JP Morgan, same thing. Look at that. All of a sudden, a big brokerage firm just gets the crap kicked out of it. And again, crypto, I think, is behind it because they're sure as hell making a lot of money on IPOs. Goldman Sachs had a 45% increase in bonuses. So they're basically peddling used cars, okay? They're peddling used cars at new car prices. And American Express, well, this one had a bad earnings report and then a good one, okay? So this one still is holding up there, but I do not expect it to not follow suit with the other credit card companies. It's pretty expensive, and a lot of people don't take it for that reason. And MasterCard had actually a good day. MasterCard looks pretty good here. I'm not quite sure why, but this would be one of the hopeful signs of the market, although I don't think this is enough to turn this into a bull market again. Visa, this one broke out. It had a good earnings report, but again, you have to look at it this way. People were negative on Visa, and when it wasn't as negative, they bought. It's sort of like the line in football. The Rams by 20. If the Rams win by 21, then you win. If they win by 18, you lose. That's what happens here. So there was an expectation of a certain amount, and they beat it. And usually they are very good at beating it because they drop it down all year long until they can. All right, well, we're looking at Costco here, and look at that plunge. And Costco is the kind of company that people stock up on large amounts. And what occurs to me is that the run up at the end of the year was just a run up of stocking, okay? And people have dozens of rolls of toilet paper at home just in case. And so there was an inventory build during the fourth quarter That's why we saw a 6.9% growth rate when no one can see anything growing. You know, that's just the way GDP is calculated. It, inventory build, but then we're going to see an inventory depletion, and then we're going to see the exact opposite. So, anyway, that kind of what is what happens when you have uncertain supplies and bottlenecks and transportation issues. All right, so Target, another retailer, had a big burst of activity, and look at that, just plunging all over the place. And the president of Target, I said last week, is absolutely saying that sales are plunging off a cliff, and a lot of it has to do with inflation and people not wanting to spend more for the same thing. Home Depot, look at that, crashing too. I don't know what else to say. Retail, 70% of the economy, and it is just going off a cliff. Walmart finally broke down. It was the last holdout, and Walmart is somewhat on the inexpensive side, so people would go there rather than other places. And here you go. It's now broken down. It's a Dow Jones component, and it doesn't look too good either. FedEx doesn't look good either. Long, rounded top, looks like a Head and Shoulders, and it is not ready to deliver a lot more goods and grow. So UPS too, broken down. Goods aren't being delivered. Stuff isn't being bought. Stuff is being held in container ships off Los Angeles, and where their people are sitting for days and days and days and days and days and days. And Tesla, I wanted to show some of the EVs, and I want to destroy them today, okay? Tesla is probably the best of the lot, but it broke down, okay? Now, the problem with Tesla is, and we've mentioned it before, it is not a clean vehicle. It's clean when it burns electricity out here and you don't see exhaust. But it is not clean when the coal-fired plant has to create the electricity, okay, and all the pollution therein to actually power the car. Furthermore, China, you might as well be walking around in pea soup with, night vision goggles because you can't see anything because of all that pollution from building Tesla batteries. Batteries are not eco-friendly. They're not biodegradable. I don't know why batteries all of a sudden are all the rage, but they are. And here's one, Nikola Corporation. This one does batteries too. Look at that. It's at an all-time new low. All-time new low. How can you have an all-time new low in a company that builds batteries for companies that need batteries? Blink Charging Company, same thing. This is going to be like a gas station of electricity. And if you look at it, most people are underwater. So all of these futuristic dreaming people are now losing money. So don't dream. Don't be, don't dream is all I got to say. Because if you start dreaming about riches, you ain't going to get them. Lucid Group is another one. That one came out at not too recently at 85, and it's all the way down to 27. So EVs have constraints that are being recognized. One of them is not enough power generation. We have not built a power plant in a long, long time, decades. And that's how they're going to have to refill, is going to have to be electricity going to a filling electricity charging station. But with all these new cars coming out, where are you going to get it? Especially when you're not building power plants, you need permits and you need time. And that's it. And 20% of it is coal, which is about the least clean energy there is. So on the one hand, you have this horrible production that causes pollution, but we don't see it. It's nowhere to be found because it doesn't come out the tailpipe. Ford Motor, this one looked like it was going to go all EV, and I still believe it does. This is going to take some market share from Tesla. That a lot of companies are going to. Tesla has about a 70% market share. It is not going to keep that market share. There are really sophisticated vehicles out there, some not private. Google has something called Waymo. Apple is coming out with a electric car that you don't have to do a thing. And Apple is not exactly chump change. These are tough guys. These will build a good product, and it's gonna eat into Tesla. So I have a feeling that Elon's not going to be as rich come pretty soon, and but of course he's going to go to the moon and just escape and live there. So, and finally, Rivian Automotive. Look at this; it just came public, and this thing has gone down from 180 to 57 in just a few months. Okay, now where did the air come out of the balloon? Okay, people are starting to realize these are not clean. They're not clean. They're gonna pollute more. So all those green scientists that we hear about, 30,000 of them supposedly claiming global warming, but who are they? There's no name, there's no organization. It's just a number people throw out. 30,000 people think there's global warming. Yeah, right. Who are they? And here's another one for you. Disney is not Disneyland anymore. It is a streaming company. And then once again, streaming is so hip, so trendy that you saw that big leap up when they announced they're going to get into streaming. But unfortunately, people tend to forget that where there's money to be made, there's competition, and there are at least a half a dozen of these companies. Although Netflix was one of them, and Netflix actually gave an indication that it's not going to be that big of a market. So Disney is, go to the theme park, but I don't know. I don't know about the, this streaming. Finally, this is the only place that I am really excited about. And we're going to walk you out of all of that crap that I just showed you. Okay? We're going to find a spot. We're going to get you out. Okay? You're going to have to eat it. You're going to have to suffer, just like I have when I've lost money. But it goes away really quickly when you start making it again. And gold is in a phenomenal pattern. It could break down. I'm still watching. But I'll tell you this, with inflation and Bitcoin coming down, gold is the place to be. So gold is one and silver is another. And these are both positive patterns. The miners are the place I think that are going to be. Not yet. We're too early. But the miners that mine these things are going to do quite well, I think. And that's about the only thing that I would want to see someone invest in. Maybe oil, but that's about it. Because everything else is just going kerplunk. And with that, I want to say thank you very much for tuning in. And I hope we've given you just some tremendous information. And we'll be back next week. Please, I would love for you to subscribe and like, and it does us a lot of good. We don't charge a damn thing, and all we want is to keep you from getting obliterated. That's why I'm here, and I'm spending my own money to do it. With that, I'll see you next time.